Hi guys, welcome back to our video again. So in this video we got to test ride this Hornet 750. So this Hornet 750 is using the similar platform with the Transalp 750. So it's a 750 high revving engine. So we heard from Bunsu staff that it has slightly different characteristic as compared to the Transalp. So it's more tuned towards street fighter kind of style. So it's a little bit more aggressive. From the side itself you can see that very sharp triangular head, which is a norm or a trend right now in the naked bike scene. So it has a red frame and also a red color upside down fork, but the fork is a big piston but more non-adjustable, two rotor, so both sides you have your 4-port caliper. So this exhaust looks very ADV 750, and then you have a very street tire. There's a download road spot tool, and then you get your single caliper at the rear. So the rear is preload adjustable. That's the only suspension adjustment that you get. So it comes with a shroud and also a plastic radiator guard. That's pretty cool. So your oil filter is here. So your passenger foot tech. Instead of a banana seat or bench seat, so this is like a sports bike. So it's separated with two seats. And we realized this thing is pretty interesting. So you have your like a wind tunnel here, like a more sporty aerodynamics kind of design. So let's turn on the bike and see the headlights. So it's a color TFT display, and then you have your signature daytime running light on the signal for the Honda bikes, and then you have your LED headlight, and then also LED tail light. So let us just hop onto the bike and see the ergonomics. So but before that, let us check out the rear seat storage. So you need to unstrap this, and pretty much your handphone and some document. It comes with a toolbox. So that's the rear seat. So let us hop on and see how the ergonomics goes. Put in the key, lean over. So the seat height is pretty okay, pretty reasonable for an Asian context, because you can see that my knee is bent. So the layout is pretty street oriented, so we can see a slightly lean forward but not a very aggressive stand. Turn on the bike. You see the color Hornet. It's a color TFT as we mentioned. Few information here. So you have your ride mode, okay, your fuel, and also some rev meter and stuff. So total mileage and your fuel consumption, and then some of the hazard indication. So on the left side you can press on the mode button to switch mode. So we got the rain mode, user, sports, and standard. And then your horn, this is your navigation bar where you can control the lower half of the screen. You can see your volt, your average fuel consumption and stuff. And then your signal light, your hazard, your high beam, low beam here. And then pass is just clicking. And then here is just straightforward the start button. So let's reset the fuel range. Okay, so reset is to press the FN function button. And then we go for a ride and see how it goes. So we can see that the screen actually detects the ambience, it blacks out, so it becomes a dark theme once you are in slightly darker environment. So let's go for a test ride. So start. Not bad. So the red line is at 10,000 RPM. So it's indeed slightly high revving. Pretty torquey at the lower speed. The engine braking is also quite sharp for standard mode. Okay, so it has a lot of pull. I think it would be fun if it's in a twisty or a slightly open road. Okay, so the brakes are sharp because it's a twin disc brake at the front. So the rear also not that bad. Okay, we're not used to the clutch, so we got to adjust it a little bit to somewhere that we would like it to be. Although it looks very muscular on the image, the tank is pretty narrow. So the whole bike is also pretty narrow in the whole sense. It's not very bulky or inaccessible in that way. The only interesting thing is that the key is here in the front, not here, which is quite a norm nowadays, where the key is on top of the fuel tank. So I think on the standard mode it's already very sporty. So I wonder how much sportier it will get when it's on the sports mode. So if I'm on the user mode, probably I will tone down the engine braking a little bit, because it's really sharp on a standard mode. So it makes you feel a little bit discomfort if you are doing mindless riding. It's good only if you are in a very sporty riding attitude or behavior. So it's a very naughty bike, a bike that responds to your throttle input almost immediately. Okay, let's switch to sports mode since we are here. Actually, sports mode and standard, there's just very minimal difference. Okay, the suspension not bad, holds up. The sports mode and the standard mode has quite a lot of similarity. Maybe in the sports mode you get what, 20% more aggressiveness. It's not a day and night difference, but definitely you will feel something. Standard mode is pretty aggressive already for a regular day-to-day bike. So right now we will move back to standard mode and we will ride around to try to explore and understand a little bit more about the Hornet 750. Okay, so you can feel the heat, especially on the right side. The left side, pretty much nothing. The fan is activated, you can really feel the heat once you put your hand close to it. I guess one thing is that the front of the seat is pretty narrow, so it allows you to really touch the ground firmly. The throttle is very light, so it makes your wrist a little bit naughty because it's pretty easy and light to twist. So the brakes are pretty sharp, regardless the front or rear. Gives you that very confident feel. Oh, okay. It's really a sporty kind of suspension setup, so you can have a very good sense of the road condition. It's easier to ride when you are on a higher gear. That's my personal thoughts, because it reduces the sensitivity. So let's see if we can do a lane speed here. I would say I'm pretty confident it does, because it's a very light and narrow bike. Okay, no issue with that. Even let's say swapping a lane, so not that tough also. And because it's very low, you can duck walk if you need to. So since it's a very torquey bike, so let's us try if you can start with gear 3. Will it struggle, or the torque will just pull through? So 15 minutes of riding, the fan is on again. Okay, so it's possible. It will reduce its capability to like a 2V start off. So one thing about the bike, I realized that it heats up very quickly. So after 10 minutes of riding in slower pace, we can see that the fan is already on. So you can see that we are stationary right now, and the temperature keeps building up degree by degree. So once it reaches 104, the fan actually kicks in. So that's where you can start feeling the heat on your right knee. So one thing I also just realized that it doesn't produce a lot of vibration on the mirror. It's pretty clear, and just slight vibration on the handlebar. That's it. Nothing on the foot peg, nothing on the tank. Okay, very nice pull. Very Street Fighter oriented kind of bike. So after a traffic light, you can see that the temperature drops about 14 degrees, and then once you reach another traffic light, it starts building up again. It's a very Street Fighter kind of bike with its fast acceleration and also very aggressive engine brake. So it's really fun to ride it around like a hooligan on this Hornet 750. I think we can say that it's a hooligan bike because it gives you the acceleration as and when you want. Okay. So now we open up the visor. Not sure whether you can hear. It's not a noisy bike. Let's enter the highway and try it out. So once we enter the tunnel, the screen actually dims down once they detect you are in the tunnel. And you can start feeling the heat in the tunnel. The ventilation is not as good as in the open expressway. We're waiting to exit the tunnel because there are some speed camera inside here, and then to unleash to 90 kilometers per hour and see how does it feels. Okay, so it still pulls. Okay, so I would say that it's a pretty strong monster, not like your standard twin. Mid and low range, where you get most of your power at mid and low range. Okay, on the higher RPM, on a higher speed, you can feel more vibration on the handlebar and the foot peg. Okay, so it's a street bike. You can say it's zero wind protection, and because it's a forward kind of posture, so it gives you a slight advantage of cutting through the air. That makes riding faster slightly more enjoyable. But you still have to grip on tight to fight the wind resistance when you're at higher speed. Okay, so let's just try cruising around at 6th gear on just under 4,000 RPM when you're cruising around 90. So that's a very easy pace. Like we mentioned, it's a very sporty kind of setup. You really can sense every unevenness on the road. So if you're a sporty rider, that's a plus point for you. So if you're a lazy rider, then it's not the plushest suspension setup. I guess that's the reason why a lot of people are going towards ADV, because of the plus suspension setup, or the luxury of long suspension, where they can absorb all this bump in. Then it will reduce some excitement of feeling the roads. So 30 minutes into the ride, I don't feel any major discomfort. So probably the seat front is a little bit narrow, so you can feel the area just after your butt. So the angular sharp point is pointing at the part, so you feel some pressure there. Other than that, I think it's pretty nice. So it's always fun to cruise around roads like this, where it's pretty empty, pretty open, where you can unleash some of the power from the bike. The engine brake actually tones down a lot on higher speed. So only on the lower speed the engine brake kicks in very aggressively. Yeah, so I think it's on higher gear, it's less sensitive. Let's try to do a full roundabout. Okay, very nimble bike. So I also find that the seat is pretty thick. Okay, it's bouncy on the rider seat. There's a lot of sponge there. The sponge are pretty firm and bouncy at the same time. I don't know, whenever you hit a bump, you feel that you actually squish into the seat a little bit, which is comfortable. Because this bike is quite torquey, so when you're riding at slower speed, you just, I guess the best way is to keep it at higher gear. So it reduces the choppiness of the bike by quite a significant amount. So let's try doing a U-turn on the bike and see how confident or how nimble it is. Okay, so there's also a kill switch and a side stand indicator. Very interesting. But the side stand is a little bit hard to find if you do that no look thing, because it's hidden underneath your rider foot peg. Okay, let's try doing a U-turn and see how it goes. Okay, pretty nice and easy. Okay, just let me try it one more time and see how it goes. So let us also switch it to rain mode and see how it goes, because probably it's gonna rain soon. You can feel that the torque has been really shaved off by very significant amount. Interesting. The sports and the standard doesn't have a really day and night kind of feeling, but the rain mode definitely, it gives you a lot of power cut or a lot of delay in the throttle response. So that's something definitely you can feel. So as you can see here, the average fuel consumption is about 19 kilometers per liter. That's on the fuel economical. But if you compare this to the NC750, then it will be another story. So this is generally my first impression on the Hornet 750. So it's a very street fighter kind of bike where you can have fun blasting out on the road and the city. You can ride it like a hooligan, or you can use the rain mode to tone it down to ride it as a regular street bike. What's not so good about it is it basically runs a little bit hotter than I expected, but it's still bearable. What I'm doing here is I'm comparing this with the NC750, and of course it's not a very fair comparison. That's designed purely for commute. This is designed to have more fun on the road. So alright guys, that will be the end for this test ride. Hope you enjoyed the video. See you on the next one. Bye bye.